This is Friday, the 31st of October. The month has ended. Oh my God, time is moving very fast. I think maybe God is excited about 2026, so the days are moving, very fast. As usual, we have a preamble of the discussion. I won't introduce my guests until we're done with the preamble, of the discussion. But first, the thought for the day. As a son of a reverend, it's important to open with the thought for the day. The thought for the day today comes from Romans 5:3-5. Here goes. Yeah. Not only so, but we also rejoice in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and that hope does not disappoint us, because God has poured out his love into hearts by the Holy Spirit, whom he has given. Rejoicing in suffering. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah.
It can easily be misinterpreted.
Well, oh, by the way, I've not been introduced.
No, I'll introduce you later. Leave that to me. Leave that to the driver.
Okay. I think what the scripture reminds us is the fact that when you're a Christian, it doesn't mean that you're immune from suffering. Mm-hmm. We will go through suffering, and there'll be pain, but we have hope.
Yeah.
That irrespective of the challenges that we go through, the Lord will be with us, and the Lord is with us, and you'll see us through. And that suffering is not just for the fun of it. That suffering produces endurance, okay, because it improves on our character, who we are, and it produces hope. Okay, we know that whatever we do, it is all for our benefit. The tendency of Christians is to believe that everything has to be plain sailing, everything has to be good. But Scripture here, Paul is reminding us that even in suffering, we must always rejoice.
Does that ring the bell, here and most of the African countries?
Well, it does. What it means is that we shouldn't lose hope. Okay, we shouldn't. Even when the going gets tough, the worst thing you can do is to be able to lose hope. You don't. But what is required is to be able to learn from whatever challenges we go through. What is it that we have to learn from this? You can choose to focus on negative, but you can also choose to say there is some value in it. Now the question is, do you give up? The answer is no, you don't, because it is through the suffering brings forth endurance, and endurance perfects our character, and then we have hope for a better tomorrow.
Yeah, lots of suffering in Cameroon and Tanzania. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's the usual challenges of Africa, which is completely unnecessary. Africa has so much at its disposal. It comes down to leadership. That is the leadership that puts self first instead of the people, instead of the country. And those are the challenges that we are facing. And it is sad that 30 years later, throughout Africa, I'm fortunate to have lived long enough, because I saw second wind of change in Africa, which started in the 1990s, when all the countries returned to a multi-party system of government. And there was a lot of promises that the liberalization of the political space was going to translate into the liberalization of economies and of improvement in the welfare of the people. But unfortunately, that does not translated into what the 1990s promised. Literally, in most of the African countries, there's been regression. now have dictatorships, and those dictatorships, you see, previously dictatorships used to come through a military coup. Now dictators are coming through the ballot. Once they get in, they don't want to go out. They trust the people to put them in, but for some strange reason, which I still fail to understand, I don't know why the politicians don't believe, don't trust people that they will indeed re-elect them, you know, and that is why they start doing crazy stuff, and those things that they do, they just work to the detriment of their countries.
Movement for national restoration. Why did you start this? What are you trying to restore? Why are you a brave man? And for those of you who don't know about being a brave man, you know, I attended a brave man conference, you know, at Miracle Life, and I addressed the conference. Lots of brave men, you know, at this you know, function. There are not too many brave men in this country. Okay, why the restoration? Why have you decided, you know, to do this? I mean, it's a first, it's a thankless you know job. I don't think you can even sleep. I mean, I do my little job. You know, I barely sleep. I was communicating with you. I think about 4 in the morning. You know, what you have taken on is bigger.
I think it's love of country. One should always believe in something greater than himself, because otherwise life is not worth. That is meaningless. It's also a situation where you realize that I'm a very privileged person. Okay, I've been able to accomplish things by God's grace, and you just you come to the conclusion that I'm in a position to do something. Okay, and you now put aside your own self-interest and everything else, and try and do what you believe is right for the people and the country. Yes, the sacrifice has been enormous. I always tell people that for me, what I've done now is simply another step on my journey, in the sense that most people know that somebody said to me, actually, you don't have money. And I said, well, you know, wealth in in life is defined differently. I spent 20 years teaching at the university. Now, the moment you choose to teach, there is no money in being a teacher. But why did I teach? Very simple. Because I understood the value of education. Okay? It is education that has brought me to where I am. And not only that, that was a system that gave me a fair chance. And I made use of that opportunity. And I would like to see other people have the same opportunities. And then obviously my career as a lawyer is well known. I've taken a number of cases to court, all in an effort to better this country. And most of the cases that we do are public interest litigation. There is no money involved, but you do them out of conviction, because, you know, when you've been to school, you can clearly see that your country is headed in the wrong direction. And I think it is wrong for those of us that are privileged to see where the country is going and remain quiet. Okay? So, what I'm now doing is just part of that continued process that I've been doing in the last 35 years to try and improve the situation in this country. Because what frightens me are the challenges that we have. And I don't think other Zambians truly understand the enormity of the challenges that we face. And those that have been privileged to go to school, they can analyze and understand these things. And we owe it to the country to warn, to sound the alarm, to say the country is headed in the wrong direction. Yes, it is a huge sacrifice. I can tell you, for instance, couple of months ago, I mean, since I made the decision to lead this, to initiate this particular initiative, which is the Movement for National Renewal, I've lost friends.
I know.
Okay, it's like I've become radioactive.
Yeah.
Okay, people that knew me, for whatever reasons, they come and says, listen, my friend, I can't interact with you because you've become political, and people that I've known for years. But that is the price we have to pay for our conviction. But what is also amazing is that whilst you lose those friends, I'm a Christian. I do believe that God has the capacity to bring in new friends.
Yeah.
I now have new friends who have joined me, people I didn't know a month ago. You know, these are now the people that I'm now working with, and I'm now depending on people that I did not know a month ago.
Right. One or two things, before we take a musical break, and then I'll introduce you, officially. I like doing this, leaving people to guess. It's also a very dangerous assignment.
Yes.
I'm sure your phone is already, tapped. They're following. I know it's their job.
Yeah.
But why do they? Whoever is tapping you, look at the bad side and listen in, to you when you're trying to offer something different.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad because what we're talking about is service to the country. Now, somebody, I think maybe we talk about it during the course of the program. I've heard people say that, you are elitist. You are this. People do not know that Zambian politics is brutal and destructive.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I have seen firsthand lives destroyed through politics.
Yeah.
Right? But I've had the opportunity, for example, to interact with people like our first president, Kenneth Kaunda. And I saw this. If you had asked me 3-4 years ago, that would I be even dabbing my hands in politics, I'd have said, hell no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the damage that is done to what people, especially government machinery, has done to people. Lives have been destroyed. So when somebody says you've gone into this arena because you want to become rich. No, there are better ways of getting rich than getting involved, unless you're a thief or a crook.
I know.
But there are better ways of getting rich, but not through this political process.
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah. I mean, I've been insulted, I've been harassed, and all what I've said is, I would like to serve my country. And I have not even claimed to say I want to be. I'm simply saying I'm ready to serve because it's a duty of each and every citizen to serve his country. So, but the point is this. If I always say this, if Zambia was a country, the company would have liquidated it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you cannot liquidate a country. Whatever challenges that the country faces, we have no choice but to try and find solutions to those challenges, if not for ourselves, but at least for our children and our children's children. Now, I'm doing this thing because I have been privileged. Okay? I've been privileged. There were systems in place. I mean, I always remind people that possibly if I was born after 1991, most likely I'd have been a laborer.
Yeah.
I'd have been a laborer. Okay? But there was a system in place which gave me a fair shot at life. Now, I would like each and every Zambian to have that opportunity so that when you fell on your own. Okay? I can tell you, for example, when I was in grade 7, we had people that had failed grade 7 times. They were in grade 7, they were already shaving.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the end of the day, they simply conclude, you know what? school is not for me. But at least government has enabled them to know how to read and write.
Absolutely.
By grade 7.
Yeah, I hear you, hear about this fear, gosh, there was a time.
Yeah, the fear, when you enter, I like to say this publicly, it's not a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
But when you decide to enter the Zambian political scene, you should be prepared to pay the ultimate price.
Yeah.
If you are not prepared, which means you should even be prepared to lose your life. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, then don't even step in. Okay? That is how brutal it is.
I hear you. Yeah. There was a time and I had to run away hide from the system for 2 weeks. Good people, kept me for 2 weeks and until
we have all that. We have all been high.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone. Yeah. We went through that during the time of Kaunda, not Kaunda, Frederick Chiluba, for example. Yeah. We went into hiding for about 2 weeks or so, running away from the system. But it's not necessary. This is our country.
Absolutely.
We can do better. And then we can't give up. We can't give up. But, I always look at it to say, this country is so privileged. It has so much in terms of resources, so much in terms of everything that there is enough in this country to go around.
Yeah.
Nobody should be poor in this country.
Yeah, right. Finally, before the musical, break, I talked about, not sleeping, really, and I know that you're not really sleeping the usual 6, 7, 8 hours.
No.
Is this something that your wife is going to tolerate, really disturbing sleep?
Well, it's not something that I woke up. By the stories which was partly earlier on was that I don't even have a wife.
Oh, anyway, isn't it crazy?
Yes, but I have a wife, and I had to have a conversation with my wife to say, I believe this is the route I have to go. Life will never be the same, and she's supportive in that respect. Yeah, so I always tell people that since you haven't introduced me, but I used to a month ago, I used to plan my day for a week. On a Sunday, I'd wake up and say, okay, and project what are my commitments during the next coming week. Now I don't. I actually live by the hour.
Yeah.
It's no longer day by day. It is now by the hour.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. That's just a preamble. I was getting some instructions from Lucia, but I have overridden that because of my Christian beliefs. This song I simply love. It's called the Burning Bush Monekela Kubanabove by Prophet Siame. Yeah, let's listen to this, and when we come back, I'll introduce my guest.
When we call on you, let your fire come down, now let it low. Oh, as we are here to worship you in humbleness, we ask. When we call on you, let your fire come down, not alone. Oh, with our knees down, as we are here to worship
Good morning, and if you have just tuned in, that was just a preamble. I did that deliberately, because I took a look at some of the social issues, and because we're going to spend a bit of time, talking about economic issues, because it's the economy, it's the elephant in the room is the economy. My guest is State Council John Sangwa. He is, leading a movement for national restoration or renewal, whichever you want to look at. Now, this is about a month or so since you started. How is it developed?
Well, it's been an exciting chapter. It's been an exciting chapter because everything have happened so fast.
Yeah.
I was in the comfort of my law practice, and one moment I issue a document which I was calling a call for national reflection, and I think it must have been on the can't remember the exact date. I think on the 6th or 7th of October. Then, there was a lot of excitement created, and that call for reflection was born out of the fact that people, both here in Zambia, in the diaspora, were phoning me to say, why don't you offer yourself for public service? And I don't have a problem with that because I consider myself, from the time I left university to having been in the public service, I've been serving this country using my training, my experience to serve this country. But the call now was a different kind of call to contest, to now go for some elective position, which is totally different ballgame altogether. And I took time to reflect on that. I mean, as a lawyer, you plan. You don't just go into something blindly. You look at it because you believe. First of all, before you jump into it, it's okay, fine. If I'm to jump in, what are the challenges? And given a chance, what would I do differently? And that is why I came up to the conclusion to say, yes, I can, but there are these 10 things that we must all be agreed upon. And I noted that it's not one man who can fix this country. It's not one person, but it requires a group of people. Zambians must be able to agree, because even with the best leader that you may have, if the people are not with that leader, that leadership, really nothing is going to be achieved. This was my conclusion. And then thereafter, well, one thing led to another, one thing led to another, and finally, I had to make a decision. Very painful decision to leave my practice of 31 years. I wouldn't lie to you. I said I cried that day. I cried that day because the firm was like my baby, and that's all I've known, practice of the law. And for the country, I had to do that. I couldn't see myself continue in practice and open up this new chapter in my life. I had to give up one. So I had a choice: either disobey or disregard that call from Zambians within and outside, ignore that call, or and continue my practice, or give up the practice and respond to this call. So I chose to respond to this.
Right. This is a game of numbers.
Yes.
How are you doing in terms of numbers? And also, we understand the other people now have come on board to collaborate with you, like Dolika, Banda. Could you quickly shed some light on that?
I think it is born out of the fact that, again, as a lawyer, you take time to understand why is the country where it is? What kind of mistakes have we made in the last 60 years? And then, based on that, you have to formulate something different. Now, that is why we said, well, we have a choice here. How do we structure this arrangement? And then we came up with the idea that Zambians need to be involved for any political experiment to succeed. And that is why we said we're going to have a movement. And that movement was not just something based in a vacuum. We said we need to raise 1 million Zambians, okay, that have bought into the idea of renewal. And we must reach this number by 31st December. Okay? This is born out of the realization that in the last 60 years, Zambians have literally been told to say, you know what, sit there, government will take care of you. That system has failed. Okay? That system has failed. Now, we are now saying, why don't we flip? That's why we're calling it a renewal. Why don't we try something new? Zambians don't sit back, get involved. What we are saying is, stop complaining. You have complained enough. You complain about load shedding, you're complaining about this, you're complaining about lack of jobs, you're complaining about all the challenges. We hear you. But don't just complain. Do something about it. What is it? If you are complaining, then join us in the movement. We work together and then solve the challenges that we face. If there are those that are happy, others will say, well, we are okay. Everything is okay. We said, we respect you. This is a democracy. If you're happy, well and good. But if you're not happy, you have complaints, join us. Let us make that 1 million people team so that we work together, we find solutions to this country and implement those solutions.
Are these numbers, where are you with the numbers now?
Well, the numbers, one of the things that we have done, first of all, is we have to find a way to capture these numbers. Okay? First of all, we have to find a system. How do we attract these numbers? First of all, given the political environment, it is not that easy that I can even go and say, I'm going to hold a rally to be able to talk to the people. I can't. First of all, there's a problem with the application of the Public Order Act. And the worst thing is, if a Christian gathering can be displaced, what more a political gathering? So, what did we have to do? We have had to work using the technology that is available. We have a website which we are calling the Movement for National Renewal. All those that are interested can go to this website and register as either as a volunteer. And you won't believe it, Ambassador. One of the most shocking thing, you are old enough, I think you would understand this thing. For me, what was shocking was we got responses from the people saying, you know what, I'd like to register, but I can't. Why? Or
Fear.
Fear, yes. I can't because I'm a civil servant. I said, well, but this is non-partisan initiative. Okay? And others have said, well, I can't register because my husband has contract with government, or my wife works for a parastatal company, or my husband works for this statutory body. And what it took me back was the period of one-party state.
Yeah.
Okay? This is a democracy. We should be at liberty to express ourselves. So what we have had to do is now to provide an option for people to indicate their support anonymously, which is very, very sad for me, because it tells you how much we have regressed in terms of our democratic credentials. We have now got other people where they have said, well, there is a problem. Not everybody has a smartphone. We are now trying to make provision for those people without smartphones to be able to indicate their support for the movement. Others have come up and said, well, that those people in rural areas would not have access to these facilities. Again, we're looking for a system to be able to capture the people, so that at the end of the day, for us, that 1 million, it will be a sign of proof that Zambians want renewal. We have to talk numbers. And then at the end of the day, we are hoping that by 31st of 2025, we should reach that 1 million. Okay? Because we need to do things differently. You know, all our colleagues, I guess they're a bit brave than I am. They have the courage to wake up one day, say, I'm forming a political party. But that has never worked. We have more failed political parties in this country than political parties that are in existence. And politics is about numbers. It is about the people. So we have a message. We are not that arrogant to believe that every Zambian will buy into that message. We would like to taste the popularity of that message of renewal, and that taste, proof of that, will be in the numbers.
Two questions. I would like us to move pretty fast, and I know the people are itching to call later on, but we have to delve into some economic issues. Before we do that, the ultimate is to get into government. People are wondering, how do we get into government when it's just a movement? And then second, you have not indicated whether you want to lead this country or not. Again, it confuses the people. Could you clarify this?
Yeah. Whatever we're doing is born out of the experience of the last 60 years.
Yeah.
Okay. First, most of these political parties that we're talking about, the experience has been is that people start fighting for positions. Who's going to be president? Who's going to be this? And I've had other political parties that have come approach me and said, oh, I want you to be my running mate. And I said, okay, how did you arrive at that decision?
Yeah.
Okay. What criteria did you use to arrive at that? Now, at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that people have ended up forming political parties. They have ended up on their own. Okay? Now, political party is about people. It's not about you as a person. You can come up with the idea and you have to attract the numbers. That is why we're trying to do it differently. Once we have 1 million, that is proof that the idea is acceptable to the people. Now, remember, we have a situation where other people are coming on board. Okay? It's a non-partisan arrangement. It's not a political party yet. We have invited other people, and I was so delighted when I got a call that my sister Dolika wanted to join hands.
Excellent.
She bought into the idea of the 10.1 and said, I fully agree with what you're talking about. And I said, my sister, let's join hands and work for the people. That was exciting. And my brother Jackson Silavo also has come in on board to say, my brother, my sister, I'm joining you to be able to work together towards that goal, which is exciting. Now, I didn't want this particular initiative to be mine, to be about me. No, it's a national movement.
Right.
It is a national movement, and that is why we're proceeding. Now, of course, to answer your question, people have been saying, oh, who's going to be a leader? Who's going to be? I said, guys, it's premature, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't know who else is going to be in. When we reach the 1 million people, we will now sit down to say, okay, guys, we now have this harvest. We know that people have bought into the idea. How do we progress? Now, that decision will not be mine alone. It will be a collective decision of all those that are involved.
Let me flip, in a question and talk about the presidency. We have something like 20 people aspiring to be president of this country. Is this how we have cheapened, the position? Some of them have tried. I don't know how many times. I'm sorry to say, they have no iota chance of, leading, this country. Should we have a closer look, a different, look at who should run for presidency. I mean, gosh, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature of democracy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the democratic system of government is.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody should be at liberty to step forward.
Yeah.
And that is why there is nothing wrong stopping anybody to dream or aspire to be president, to be whatever. It is wide open. But you need to have a winning formula.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the other point is that, voters are quite smart. Okay, those who jump into this thing, I don't think they have any respect for the voters. Look at what happened in the last election. Okay? It ended up being an election between two political parties.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, this is UPND and PF. Now, I think combined, the two political parties got something like possibly, I think, 95, 96%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other 14, it was quite strange in the sense that actually there's even a joke that there was actually a number 3 spot, which is called spot ballot.
I love that.
The spot ballots were more than the other next political party.
Yeah.
It is a question of self-evaluation.
Absolutely.
You don't just dream. Okay, first of all, you have to ask yourself, this is my opinion, what is it that I've done in my life that has prepared me for this job? First of all, this is not an easy job. It is a scary proposition. I've heard people say, oh, you're an elite. Elites do not aspire for political office. They don't. The elites, you know what the elites do?
Yeah.
They spend their time, they have created these WhatsApp groups, and they share these ideas. They are never interested in getting involved with the people.
Right.
Those are the elites. Now, coming to the point, yes, it should be at liberty for any person who believes he has a formula to go in. You can't stop them. But at the end of the day, the voters are smart. They know how to sort out this thing. And that is why, for example, we have not been that arrogant to believe that Zambians will buy our message. And that is why we're talking about a message of renewal. And if they have bought, we are saying, if you agree with us, you agree with us, let's be on this journey. And at least the next step is dependent upon us gathering 1 million Zambians.
Yep.
Okay.
Tell me, so this country is facing a lot of challenges in terms of, governance. And my observation is that I really don't know whether this government, in terms of ministers, including the president, are evaluated. In any company, you evaluate the performance of the staff. They're evaluated by the CEO. The CEO is evaluated by the board. People listening might be saying, oh, it can't work. It works in Rwanda, okay? I had a good friend of mine, Kalungu went on in Italy. I called him over, to conduct a workshop for my staff, and he told me he had worked in Kagame's office. The ministers, and we'll be talking about the constitution quickly, the ministers don't come from parliament. They come from outside, okay? These ministers are evaluated, okay? There's a kind of like a board composed of very intelligent African people taken from most African countries. I know Moyo, the lady who is now in the House of Lords. Moyo, what is Moyo's name again? Anyway, Moyo and the other African, they evaluate, the ministers quarterly. It's like a board, okay? If you don't perform well, below 60%, you are fired. Equally, this board presents their evaluation, the views on the president. Could this help? I mean, we have a person in this country at the very top who is not evaluated and appoints almost everybody.
Oh, he's actually evaluated every 5 years.
Okay, okay, but it's a long time to wait.
It is,
Yeah.
And that is why our system is different in the sense that you are elected to replace somebody. In this case, we had PF government, then we put in the UPND government. The expectation was that UPND government will do better than PF. Now, even if you recall the kind of statements which were being made, was say, we will do better in this, we'll deliver on this, we'll deliver on this. Now, what was required was now to be able to, now remember, these are all functions that are vested in the president. It is now for the president to devise a system on the promises that he has made. When he has failed, the failure is attributed to him. And that is why in a system of government, for instance, when the National Assembly is dissolved, all the ministers leave office. Okay? Then, when a new president is elected, is given a completely new power to put together a completely new cabinet. That is his team that he believes he will rely upon to deliver on the promises that he has made to the people. Now, at the end of the day, it's only a matter of common sense to be able to have people that will help you to deliver on the promises that you made to the people. Remember, elect ministers. We elect MPs. It is the president that chooses ministers. Okay? But our problem is far much deeper than that. One of the things we need to understand is that government is a complex machinery. Okay, it's complex. Now, the system is supposed to be run by, I'm not saying this in a bad way, you need your best brains in the country to be able to run the system. Not just at presidential level, it starts at local government level. You need the best people in the constituency, the most educated, the most intelligent, and also not just educated, intelligent, but also character. That is why the responsibility to elect councillors is reserved for the wards. So the members of people in that ward should be able to choose the best person. Okay? That is where our failure is, because we don't even know how people are elected. Okay? That is the starting point. The second point is the people that we choose as MPs. What do they know about their functions as members of parliament? And if I can go back, the people we elect as councillors, what do they know about local government? That is the starting point. Okay? What do they know about our constitutional system? I bet you possibly 90% of these characters have never even touched the Constitution. Okay? Now, the Constitution, that's why I keep talking about this thing, Constitution. Why? It is the manual on how this country is supposed to be run. Every councillor, every mayor, every member of parliament, including the president, must have a sound understanding of the Constitution. But unfortunately, that is missing. What do? We vote for the people that will talk the most. We vote for the people that will throw the most money. Okay? We've gotten it all wrong. So that's why part of the renewal we're talking about is that we need competent people. That's the only way we're going to turn around this country. Look at this way. You and I understand this thing. When we got independence in 1964, what was the manpower level? By some account, we had less than just about 100 graduates and about 1,000 people that had finished secondary school. Now, Kaunda concluded, and this government, there is no way you can transform and develop this country with such manpower. What do? One of the first things they did was to establish a University of Zambia. Okay? The University of Zambia was designed to train people that they are going to use to develop the country. So you cannot ignore education. You cannot ignore character of the individuals. Those people who go in government end up stealing. Okay? It's part of their character. They never change. Character is something that you develop over a period of time. It's not the office that causes you to steal. You steal because you're just a thief. It's in you to be a thief. Now, you have to have a love of your country. You must be able to put the country first. Now, these are the challenges that we have. Now, remember, the president has to go back for the renewal of his mandate. Therefore, from day one, he has to put together a team of people that will enable him to deliver on the promises that he has made. Now, our constitution is quite liberal, okay? It leaves it to the president to be able to put together the system necessary to assess the performance of his ministers, and so that they are able, in any case, it's even out of common sense. How do you have ministers without deliverables? Okay? If, for example, there should be a target for each and every
That's
minister.
basically what I was talking about.
Yeah, there should be. How else do we evaluate you? Okay? And that is why we now have a problem where people are now inventing success. You know, people are claiming, oh, we have delivered 94% of the promise. No, we should tell you whether you have delivered or not yourself.
This president has said he has, failed in terms of delivering, acceptable, energy. What else has he failed? And quickly evaluate him. Very quickly, we need to talk about economic issues.
I try to avoid talking about is my brother. I consider him to be a brother, a friend, and everything else. But we need to put aside friendship. Yeah. Let's put the country first. He has failed on many fronts. Okay? Now, if he was successful, you and I would not be seated here. Yeah. Right? Let me just give you a bit of background so that people understand the context in which I'm criticizing the president. I knew the president way back in 2016. My firm represented him when he took part in the election. I'm just giving you this background so that people would understand that I'm not just bashing him for the sake of bashing him. But in 96, I worked at 2016. We represented him when he lost the election. But I do believe he won that election, but he was cheated out of it. But also, I believe that election, even if there was no outright win, there should have been a rerun in 2016. Anyway, that's what under the bridge. We worked very closely and everything else. Then we continued working together. I've never been a member of UPND. I've never been a member of any political party. I've maintained my non-partisan position. Then we worked very closely when we're dealing with the issue, for example, when ministers overstayed in office. We went to court. I was representing Laz, and UPND joined in that case. We succeeded in that case. We forced the ministers who had overstayed after the dissolution of the National Assembly to pay back the money. We succeeded in that. When it came to the issue of President Lungu's eligibility, again, we were able to work together because for me, it was a matter of constitutional principle. I believed, and of course, people confuse these things, but that's a discussion for another day. Then it came to Bill 10. We worked together. We faced over 2 cases and so forth. When the judicial system betrayed us as a people, he worked very hard to make sure that the measure did not pass in the National Assembly, which was a wonderful thing. I can tell you, Ambassador, I voted for him. I voted for his political party. And in 2021, it was a period of great excitement. I was so sure that, you know what, I think we now have a good government in office. And I never thought there would be a government worse than Lungu's government. I never thought that. I thought that Lungu had reached the bottom. I never expected that there would be a bottom below Lungu's bottom. But anyway, you have asked me a question. How well has he performed? He has failed. Okay? He has failed on many levels. First, I have to disclose this. I've met him once since he got elected. Now, he has failed on many fronts in the sense that with the consequence that he has lost people's trust. Now, he made a lot of campaign promises. a lot.
Yeah.
Now, in the only meeting I had with him, I mentioned this. He can confirm himself, and his political advisor, Mr. Ngoma, Levi Ngoma, would confirm this. He's the one who arranged the meeting. I think we spent about 2 hours. I gave him my thoughts. And one of the things I told the president was this: Mr. President, everybody knows there's a difference between campaigning and running government.
Yeah.
You are campaigning, you made promises and everything else. Now you're in government. That is now reality. You realize that what you promised and what is in government are two different things altogether. And not only that, when you're in opposition, you didn't have access to official government data to tell you the reality. Now you have access to this data. Go back to the people. That was my advice. Go back to the people and tell them, guys, I promised A, B, C, D. I am now in government. I'm now adjusting my promises based on what I found in government. Everybody knows, okay? Unfortunately, the president did not do so. It was very simple, okay? And Zambian people would have understood. I gave him the example of President Chiluba. You remember what President Chiluba did. He said, countrymen and women, the country is in trouble. We have to tighten our belts. I reminded him that you have predecessors that have been in government before, and these people, and you have to be truthful to the Zambian people. Okay, what they may not forgive is lies. Okay, the president had the opportunity to go back, and my disappointment is that he didn't. And Zambians would have understood within 6 months if he had gone back and adjusted on his promises and said, okay, fine, I promised to create so many jobs. And unfortunately, I've looked at the figures and everything else. It's not possible to create these jobs. It's not possible to do this. Maybe this we will do in year 1. This we'll do in year 2. Yeah, something like people would have understood. Let me finish on another point. I also mentioned to him that it is important that the people be told, given the complete picture. That did not happen. And what is happening now, everybody's now calling him a liar. They're now pulling out the things that he said, and so forth and so forth. Now, the outcome of that is that he has lost people's trust. And leadership is about giving people hope. It's about giving hope. It's about making people that tomorrow will be better. And you can only do that by being truthful to the people. And unfortunately, in my opinion, he has lost that moral authority.
We're going to the news. We're going to go to the news. We'll continue very briefly on that, and then we'll delve into economic, issues, because it's the economy. The elephant in the room is the economy. We go to the news, and then we come back. We continue with the State Council, John Sangwa.
To you with the compliments of Zamtel. Zamtel, come home.
Increased motorbike accidents irk Kaputa residents. Mpolungu residents sensitized on child protection. To present the community news, I'm Lusubilo Gondwe. Residents of Kaputa are urging authorities to address the growing concern of reckless motorcycle riding in the area. The call comes after a surge in road accidents attributed to riders disregarding traffic regulations. The Kaputa Motorcycle Riders Association acknowledged the issue, with the chairperson, Peter Chola, attributing many mistakes made by the riders to a result of lack of training. He cited the absence of the RTSA in Kaputa and the distance to their office as challenges to acquiring licenses. However, he mentioned plans to organize training with local traffic police. The Ministry of Education in Mpolungu District is undertaking sensitization meetings with communities to protect children against abuse. The District Guidance and Counseling Coordinator, Alice Kazimoto, emphasizes the importance of parents and guardians playing an active role in their children's education and upbringing. She notes that some parents have left the responsibility of teaching children to teachers, when in fact it should be a collaborative effort between teachers and parents. Ms. Kazimoto's department has been educating parents on the importance of getting involved in their children's education, particularly in readmitting girls who dropped out of school. She expresses concern that some children who return to school are still troubled and depressed, highlighting the need for teachers and parents to work together to help pupils reach their full potential. To end the community news, another look at the headlines. Increased motorbike accidents irk Kaputa residents, and Impolungu residents sensitized on child protection. Keep listening to Let the People Talk.
The community news was brought to you with the compliments of Zamtel. Zamtel, come home.
Looking for fast and reliable internet? Zamtel's Home Fiber gives you high-speed connectivity for streaming, gaming, and work. No buffering, no interruptions. Just the fast and reliable internet you deserve. Call 0955-111-119 or email ftthcustomers@zamtel.co.zm to sign up today.
Taste the fun.
Taste the fun. Introducing Big Flavors. Orange, cocoa pine, cola, ginger, apple, lemonade, and raspberry. Big soft drinks. Taste the fun.
Big. To a big. Taste the fun. Yo, baby. Yo, baby. My baby can go. Call you up with pride. Yo, baby. Yo, baby diapers keep them fresh and dry. Yo, baby. Could leave them and it's no stress, just joy inside. Yo, baby. Yo, baby diapers keep them fresh and dry. Yo, baby.
Yo Baby Diapers, brought to you by Yo Care Hygienics.
Phoenix FM.
This is Let the People Talk on a Friday, the 31st of October. My guest is State Councillor John Sangwa, spearheading the national movement for renewal. We'll be looking at economic issues, and I know it's a big subject. We don't have a lot of time because I know the listeners would like to ask you questions. But before we went on break, you talked about some of the failures. People are saying, yes, he's failed, in terms of delivering economic and social development to this country, and especially to the people. But people are further saying that the biggest failure is that he has divided the country. We can't beat about the bush. People are saying there's tribalism now than at any other time. Your thoughts on that, State Council?
Yeah. I just gave you one example of the fact that why he's failed. And do I believe he given a second term, you do better? The answer is no. Even if we are to give my brother, HH is my brother, even if we are to give him, make him life president, you'll never turn around this country, okay? For a number of reasons. First of all, I've talked about the fact that he has lost people's trust. Number two, the country is divided. You cannot develop a divided country, okay? We are all one, irrespective of our tribes and everything else. We have one common interest. That is to have a better life. You, wherever you are, Northern Province, wherever you are, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. Now, I'm a product of a system where the only determinant to opening doors was my brain.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody asked me which province I came from, or what tribe I was, or what my last name was. No. I went to university, grade 7 I passed, Form 3 I passed, grade 12 I passed. I went to university. It was a merit-based. Now, right now, we are divided. Now, here's a problem. Because tribalism is real. People are complaining about it. Now, the answer is not to criminalize that. Okay? The answer lies in passing legislation that will enable all of us to be treated equally, irrespective of our tribes. To also provide a mechanism, those that feel that they have been discriminated against on tribal lines, to go to some tribunal to get relief. Those are the things we should be doing, not criminalizing it. In fact, we should be able, if there has to be any criminalization, it should be against those that practice tribalism, not those that complain about tribalism. So there is a lot to be done. You cannot develop a divided country. Number three, one of the things that I think the president did not do, he didn't understand why, for example, the PF failed at those challenges. What has happened over the years, the last 60 years, is not something that has happened overnight, is that we are very weak institutions. You cannot develop a country when you have weak public institutions. Now, he has done nothing to strengthen these institutions. In fact, he has even made it worse. For example, there was this issue of recruitment of new judges. I wrote to say, guys, can you provide a transparent system so that we know who has applied, who has been shortlisted, and those that have been selected, why? Now, transparency is important in strengthening these institutions. Okay? The institutions are weak. You expected the National Assembly, for instance, to have an oversight over the executive branch of government. The National Assembly is basically a rubber stamp. You expect the judiciary to be a strong institution. The judiciary is weak. I went to court to be able to say, can we have they make the judiciary financially independent? It's there in the Constitution. There's a judgment. The president has never respected it. Okay? So these are the problems. You cannot develop a country when the institutions are weak. Number four, you need to respect the Constitution. You cannot develop a country. You know what a constitution is, like I've said. It's like a manual. I would equate it to a church. The manual for the church is the Bible. Can you imagine a church that throws away the Bible? Can you imagine the chaos that will be there? Okay? That is what we have. We need to have respect for the Constitution. One of the problems that we have, you can even see in the kind of activities that are going on, we shouldn't be talking about Bill 7. Okay? We shouldn't. We should be talking about, first of all, there are a number of provisions in the Constitution which have never been implemented. Okay? One of the issues, if you check in the Constitution is very clear that provinces should be able to enjoy the natural resources that exist in those provinces. Okay? So which means government is expected to put measures in place to say, for instance, take Northwestern Province. Right now, there is serious mining activities going on. How much wealth is being generated in Northwestern Province? And how much of that wealth actually stays in that province to benefit the people or to transform the lives, the infrastructure in that province? Nothing. Luapula has resources. Similarly, that should have been done. Start all these provinces. That is what will bring growth in this country. None of these measures have been put in place, and yet they're in the Constitution. For example, we're talking about the Constitution provides for a land commission. Okay? Land commission, meaning that the responsibility to allocate land should be vested in the powers of a commission, a group of people, an institution. But that law has never been enacted. Land continues to be issued by the Commission of Lands. And what do you have? Massive corruption, massive allocation of land. Land is just being given left, right, and center. Okay? But a commission, I would like to know, for example, there are reasons PF didn't do it. Okay? I don't know why this government has not done it. So there has been absolute no respect for the Constitution. There is another point that I've talked about, which is the enactment of Political Parties Act. It's there in the Constitution to say you must enact a political parties act to regulate the political parties, and that would require, for example, political parties to disclose the source of funding. Okay, so that they know where are we getting the money to finance the elections. And at the end of the day, political parties should be able to provide audited accounts.
Yeah.
Now, so we shouldn't be talking about amendment of the Constitution. Now, when you don't respect the Constitution, there is another point. There's several points. There is failure of rule of law. There should be no law for the rich. There should be no law for the poor. Let me just give you an example. This is very strange. In all my 35 years of practice, I know that when somebody is convicted of a crime in the subordinate court, he has a right of appeal to the High Court. Okay? Because it is a right, and somebody has been out on bail or bond throughout the time of trial, invariably, bail is given is released as a matter of right pending appeal. Now we have people going on for weeks, months, without their application to be released or to be released pending appeal being heard. That should never happen. Now, when you have all these areas where you are failing, no rule of law, no respect for the Constitution, weak institutions, a divided country, and a president that has lost the trust of the people, it is impossible to transform such a country.
Let me ask you, one thing before we talk about, economic, issues. I think, this is the first time, and I think the Constitution, has been abrogated, many times. Every president knows the limitation of the Constitution. You talked about character. What does this say about the man? And I'll add there one or two things. Political parties have found it difficult to exist. I mean, there's PF out there, and you as a movement, you may face challenges registering the political party whatever time you decide. And if you do have those challenges, when the Constitution, the rights are being abrogated, what do you do? It's a loaded question. Quickly respond to that, and I move to the economy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, right now, everything, you can't have everything that is a priority, right?
Yeah.
Our priority right now as a movement is basically to raise that 1 million people, okay, to excite, to find out whether how many, to get that 1 million people that are committed to the renewal of this country, okay? That is our first priority. When the time comes, we will think about how to, because remember, this will not be a decision of one person.
Yeah.
We have partners, my sister, my brother, and I don't know how many other people will come in. We'll be able to decide about how to navigate.
Abrogation of the Constitution?
Yes. The problem is, what you talk about character is very important. Yeah. One of the critical requirements, first of all, every president in this country has tried to manipulate the Constitution. Yeah. Okay? Starting with Kaunda introduced one-party state in 73. Chiluba amended the Constitution to bar President Kaunda in 96. Okay? Then President Mwanawasa, of course, started that process, which he didn't finish because he died. And then Rupia Banda took over, but he never completed that process. President Sata started the process. He didn't complete it. But the only one who completed it was President Edgar Lungu, to whom I give a great deal of credit, because that Constitution that we have is the best we have ever had in comparison to the other constitutions, to other provisions. I'll give you an example. President Chiluba took out the 50+1 requirement in 96. And President Lungu reintroduced that in 2016. Okay? That is a monumental task. Even Chiluba, who was so popular, he was scared of the 50+1. But President Lungu introduced it. That is, for me, that the credit goes to
Lungu.
But allow me to say something else before we move on to the other issues. Now, there's been this talk about voter registration. I would like to make an appeal to Zambians. I know there is a lot of apathy and everything else. It is your constitutional obligation to go and register as a voter. First, Forget about who you are going to vote for. That's not the issue now. That issue will come in August. You register now during this particular period. Get your voter's card first. Okay? Get your voter's card. That's the starting point. You can't talk about who you're going to vote for when you don't have a card. You have that right, so that at the right time you can decide whether to go and vote or not. But for now, my plea to each and every Zambian is to say, you go and get your voter's card. Because only when you have your voter's card, that is when you have discharged your obligation as a citizen. That is when you have the right to make demands on your government. You can't make demands on the government when you're not even a voter. Number two, President Chilwa used to say, Palmendo, 24 hours is too long in politics. Okay? Anything can happen in 24 hours. People are saying, well, who are we going to vote for, and so forth. No, we still have 8 months. We still have 8 months. Okay, in fact, maybe, 6 months or so if you take nomination period. We don't know. Nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. You never know. We are assuming we know everybody. We don't know. You can have another Zambian who'd come on the political scene and overturn everything. There is that possibility, but you need to have your vote, your voter's card first. I mean, here I am. If you had asked me 3 years ago that I'll be talking politics, I'd have said you're crazy. Here I am. A month ago, I was seated comfortably in my law firm. Okay? I never thought I would actually abandon my law firm and then be part of the movement. I never thought like that. 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't. 2 weeks ago, I would not have thought that some of the people I've known all my life would desert me. And I wouldn't have known that 2 weeks ago, I would have new friends. So life is not predictable. Don't think that what we have now is what will be in August. Get a vote. Get a vote. Get your voter's card first. That is your constitutional obligation as a citizen. People fought for that right for us to vote. Okay? So take it seriously. Even if the period for voting ends when? On 31st November. Make sure that you get your vote. Who to vote for will come later. Nobody knows what is going to happen between now and August next year. It's still a long way. A lot of things can happen. But if you don't register now, that window is closed.
Right. Quickly, on the exercise of the constitution reform going on, what are your concerns? Are there things in there, that favors, this, government, favors, this, president? Very quickly.
Yeah. First of all, even if we don't talk about the content, the timing is flawed. You don't do that. First of all, no Zambian has asked for this exercise. No one. Okay? No one has actually asked for this situation. Okay? Now, this is a political power grab. This is only intended to give the ruling party an upper hand in terms of improving its chances of election. But in any case, if they are so confident that they have performed, why are they rushing in amending the constitution? Why? And even the way everything is being done, it's just crazy. We've never had this kind of experience before. It takes years to be able to carry out any exercise. Most of these exercises, for example, even if you start from 1972 Chona Commission, it took about a year. When you're talking about next, if you talk about the Mvunga Commission, it took about another year. Mwanakatu, I think, took about another year. Levy, I think the whole process took about maybe 3-4 years. Now, why? Because every Zambian must be given an opportunity to have a say. We are all equal. Now, you can't go to provincial centers, sit for a day or so, and say you have gathered the views of the Zambians. That's a scam. You don't do that.
What's going to happen if they push it to Parliament and Parliament approves it? What would be the consequences?
Well, what it is that, well, it's up to those MPs. First of all, there is a bigger problem. First of all, those people that have accepted to be commissioners, those guys are traitors to the Republic. They are traitors. They shouldn't be doing that exercise. They know the exercise is fundamentally flawed. There are people that are talking about whether the president has powers to appoint the commissioners under Article 92 and so forth. My own position is that no, it doesn't have. Article 92 is not designed for that particular purpose. It doesn't. Now, one of the problems that these commissioners will have is where do they get the authority to even sit and receive public funding for that matter? In all previous commissions, you would have the names of the commissioners gazetted, and they are named pursuant to some provision of the law to protect them. Okay? So all these things, and in any case, here is the worst part of the scandal. No commission has ever been given a deadline. None. From 1972 to date, none. The president's job is simply to give them the terms of reference. It is up to the commission itself to work out a timetable in terms of how it will exercise its job. Because that exercise, if it is genuine and legitimate, it cannot be rushed. Now, this is a vast country. You're talking about millions of Zambians that have to have a say. Now, for example, like somebody is saying, if you sit in Chipata is not Eastern Province. No. It's not. It's just crazy. Okay? What has happened all along, the last commission, for example, which was headed by Aneo Silungwe, which resulted in the 2016 amendment, what happened was there were sittings at district level. Okay? This was a very elaborate and the most extensive consultation exercise in the amendment of the Constitution. First of all, when President Sata put together that commission, what they did was they came up with a draft constitution based on the other drafts. Then they said they sent these drafts to district. You are the district gathering who made comments on that document. That district gathering went to the provincial gathering, which also made comments. That district went now to the national gathering, which now finally came up with a draft. So everybody was consulted. Why? Because this is not a party constitution. It is a national constitution.
Where is the Attorney General in all this to advise the President, that this is flawed?
Of course they know. They don't need advice. They know. They know. This is the lifeline to election. That's what it is. It is all about election. Okay? But in any case, just look at the sadness of the thing. Who amends the Constitution 6 months before the election? Now, even if it is sincere, the timing is simply off. You don't do that. Put the country first. Okay? No Zambian has demand. I'm not aware of any census or research done which where Zambians say we want a constitution. No, there is none. Zambians are more preoccupied with the issues of bread and butter. That should be the government's priority, not the constitution. First of all, if you believe that your ability to deliver on your promises that you made to the electorate is dependent on the amendment of the Constitution, then you're a loser. Okay, then it means you're a loser in the first place, because your manifesto should respect the Constitution. You plan your manifesto and everything else based on the law and based on the Constitution. Now, to suggest that for you to deliver on the premises, you need the amendment of the Constitution, that is completely wrong. That should not happen.
This issue was thrown out, in courts, right? And then one arm of governance, decides to ignore that. What is that? What is it telling you? That one arm of the four arms of governments, one arm decides on its own that and disregards these other three arms of governance.
But that is the that is the point I'm making. governing the country requires respecting the Constitution. In this case, they went, the Constitutional Court directed to say you can't do it this way. You know, the power to amend the Constitution is vested in the people. You have to consult the people. Now, this is tokenism. This is not consultation. Okay? This is just ticking the box. There is no serious consultation that is going on. Okay? Now, all this initiative is being made in order to fit Parliament's legislative agenda, calendar, basically. Okay? It has nothing to do with the interests of the country. Okay? None whatsoever. And the way the things stand right now, what we should be focusing on is how do we implement, how do we complete the Constitution? Because right now, the Constitution are incomplete in certain respects.
Yeah.
Now, those are the issues that we should be addressing, not amending the Constitution.
Great. I'd prepared a lot of questions on the economy, but because of time, because we have to bring in callers very shortly, I will just ask you one question. You know, the elephant in the room really is the economy. You know, high prices. You know, lack of social delivery. How would you tackle all this, assuming you became president, or as you're discussing in the movement? What are your thoughts on fixing this economy?
Well, first of all, here is a point. Zambia's problems, even to do with the economy and everything else, it's not lack of policies. Policies exist. It is the failure to the political will and the discipline to implement those policies. I'll give you an example. You and I are in a certain generation. When you look back, when the mines were being privatized, okay, you recall what was the price of copper per ton? It was 3,000.
Yeah, it's now about 10, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
$3,000 a ton.
Yeah.
Those mines were bought because the people buying, they say, even at $3,000 a ton, with some investment, we could still make a profit. $3,000 a ton. Now, today, what is the price?
10,000 or so.
What is the benefit to the country?
Almost zero.
Okay? These are the issues we should be talking about as Zambians. First of all, the starting point, we need to grow the economy. Okay? Our economy, and these are things that I keep talking about. Our population is growing. I'll keep talking about it, and I'm sure I sound like a broken record. Our economy is growing at 4% per annum, roughly, nearly 4%. Our economy is growing at 5.8%. There is a clear mismatch. And on top of that, we are actually in a debt trap. We have borrowed more money than we can actually have the capacity to repay. That is already a problem. The question is there a solution? Yes, we must find a solution. Okay? Because we have no choice. Like I said, if Zambia was a company, would liquidate. But you can't liquidate a country.
Yeah.
The starting point is this. These are just my thoughts, by the way. These are just my opinions. But I think the broader economic policies and everything else will be developed by the rest of the... Should we make a transition to a political party? We have a lot of Zambians that are here that have the capacity, that have the brains to be able to put together a sound economic policy for the country. But my own view is that, first, in addressing these issues, is to make sure that we address the issue to make sure that, first of all, we guard our minerals jealously. Because these minerals, at some point, they will end.
Yeah.
They will end. Now, what we have to make sure is that we guard these minerals jealously. Now, there is a talk about the fact that, I've heard from the Minister of Mines saying that, we need to increase our mineral production to 3 million tons. That's not the point. What we should be asking ourselves currently is, we are generating roughly 1 million tons of copper every year. The question is, before we talk about increase, what are we generating from that amount, from that 1 million? Before we can even talk about the increase, how well are we managing what we have? Okay, so it requires complete control, overhaul of the system. It's not about fixing one thing. It's not about simply saying, oh, address this economic policy. The economic policy has to be supported by strong institutions for it to operate. I've been asked a lot of these questions from people that are asking, okay, you are running a movement, what are you going to do about the economy and everything else? But the point that is required is that every Zambian must have a stake in it. Every Zambian must be able to know that there is need for them to get involved in the governing of the country. They must have interest in the governing of the country. That is critical. That is material. It's not just a question of voting and then you go to sleep. The question that right now, Zambia is broken. It is broken. We have huge challenges. Now, the primary thing that we should be talking about is not the responsibility of one man. It is the responsibility of each and every citizen. This is what the movement is talking about. We're talking about renewal. Now, I've had questions posed to say, Mr. Sangwa, given that you are in government, what are you going to do about this? No, it's not about what I'm going to do. It's about what are we going to do. Zambians, we need to have equal ownership in this initiative. This is what we have done in the past, and that system has never worked. So what we now need to do is to be able to say, what are we going to do collectively to transform our country?
Let me ask you one question before I open the lines. The importance of young people cannot be overemphasized.
Yes.
The brilliant young people that universities are producing today. How do you make these young people part of an evolution of a country? With due respect to some of the people who are in government, ministers, state, council, the world has changed. I've spent 55 years in the media. I had to evolve. If I didn't evolve, I would have been irrelevant.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
There are people in government who simply cannot evolve. And they're delaying the involvement of the country, the involvement of the younger people in comparison to some of the countries in this region, countries like Rwanda. We are behind. And we will be behind if we don't, evolve. Answer that question,
yes.
And then we open the lines.
This is exactly the point. Now, again, in this political game, everybody recognizes that, the younger generation constitute the majority. I think what we have to do is to have a different kind of dialogue, whereby we do not see the younger generation simply as a pool of voters. We have to look at them as part of the process of growing our country. Yeah. We need to get the younger generation. They are innovative, they are very aggressive, they have to be part of the development agenda. Now, what would require, one of the things that we're talking about in the movement is that we would like the younger generation to partner with the movement, get involved, because I'll tell you, there are certain things I do not know. Okay, I mean, you have all these social media, TikTok, and all these other things. I'm completely clueless on these things. Yeah. So what is required is the involvement of the younger generation. The younger generation should also get involved in making sure that they too participate in the political process by contesting as councillors, as mayors, as MPs, or even as president, so that they get involved in the process. Because they can't sit back. We have a collective duty to develop this country, and that requires the youth as well, the younger generation, to get involved. So that is what is required to be able to transform this country. It's not a decision of one person, and that is why when I was being asked, what can you do this? My message is, what can we do together? What can we do together? Because citizens need to have a buy-in. They need to have a sense of ownership of what is happening. Okay? And that is what is required in order to move the country forward.
How do you coerce these young people? And I've been talking to a number of them who voted in 2021. They'll be 23 or so. No, the 18 will be 23. The 21 or so be 24, 25. And they're saying it's a lost cause. It was a useless vote. That's frightening. No. You have to correct that.
No. That is a misconception. Okay? You need to understand that a democratic system of government does not always get it right. But once it gets it wrong, there is an internal mechanism for self-correction. Okay? One of that is why we have elections every 5 years. Okay? Now, it's like you run a business. You get a driver. He misbehaves. What do? You get rid of them. Okay? You employ another one. He misbehaves. You won't close your business because all the drivers you're getting are thieves. No. You keep hiring until you find the right one.
Yeah.
The same way, when a political party disappoints you, you look for another one. Okay? That is why we don't have life presidency. Nobody can hold the office of president for life. You have to have your mandate for 5 years. But the democratic system of government is, even if, when the time comes, even if you think all the guys there are useless, all the presidential candidates are useless, you have an obligation to choose the best amongst all the useless people that you are there. But you can't avoid you voting. You still have to go there and vote.
Yeah.
That is your constitutional right. We have to vote as many times as possible until we get it right.
Yeah, Zambia is at least fortunate in the area of changing governments. There was one country, that has had one president since 1982. 8 presidents we've seen in America since that period. Oh, I cry for Africa. This is the Friday edition of Let the People Talk. My guest is State Councillor John Sangwa, who is spearheading the national movement for renewal. The lines are open. Sorry, we've taken a bit long, but I thought it was important to establish some of these teething issues. 226841 is the number to call us. Good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
And please, very quickly.
Thank you. Good morning, Council.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, this is Mr. Ntele calling you from, I know I'm just at Rome attending the funeral. Now, quick one, Council. I wanted to find out, whenever you go on politics, people, they'll say, no, he has failed to run this and this, and you have been accusing left and right. Now, the issue which you are getting worried is about this Bill 7. They have introduced, I understand, when you went to the parliament, rejected, but the government, they continued. What do you say over this? Are they listening, or do you talk to them? Maybe you go there, talk to the president, maybe you just come to the president. Have you ever had any chance talking to the president? Mr. President, even your ministers. See, people, they are crying over electricity. People, they are crying over CDF. People, they are crying about electricity. What's the position? Have you ever had a chance? Even the Bill 7. Have you ever any chance, maybe you're just talking about, maybe say, no, if you can approach the president, maybe you can understand, rather than those people are just surrounding, just sitting them. Thank you.
Please, listeners, be brief, so that we can contain a number of callers. Good morning. Good morning. 226841 is the number to call us. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name, please.
Yeah, this is Kim Freddy. Good morning, Mr. Sangwa. Good morning there.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yes. I think what I want to say is that it's good for you, for Mr. Sangwa, for Makebi Zulu to come out and to stand as a president. For you, it's good, and Mr. Makebi Zulu, it's good. But as for me, for Makebi Zulu, just a sheer waste of time to stand as a president. He could first wait, not until we finish the issue of former point of state Edgar Chagolongo Ibadi, and then Ngolo Eshire Palua Lanokulanda Tindeko Kumina, not like the way it is. He has started contributing in the battle of word of state. I want to want to Bakula Monakata. Kanshama Kebizuru for London politics.
Yes, sir. 22641 is the number to call us. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Please, what's your name?
Thank you very much, Tumila. Senior citizen. This is a local voice talking. You know?
Go ahead.
Yes. How are you, Mr. Sangwa?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now that you have come into political scene, you now want to contest as the Republican president. Very, very important because the environment is very conducive. My question is this. First of all, to explain to the Zambian people what did you do to DBZ, Bank of Zambia, a DBZ bank. What did you do? It's now in liquidation as we speak. You clear your air there. Secondly, you have said that you want Zambia to start giving you 100 kwacha for your campaign support programs. So you thought it's so easy to do that in the first place. If there's a government which has performed very well, it's a UPND for that matter. As you know, the country or something, you were there. You know what will happen. So how do you think the UPND can just come and put things in order just then? Would have first sorting out the messy face which was created by the PA for themselves. We don't give kudos to that kind of guy. Today, that guy, you are despising him as if he's doing nothing. There is constitutional amendment. This is what we're talking about. How do you praise the constitution that you did in 2016 under Kalungu that discriminated people who are not educated to be part of legislative? So you support that. How do you support constitution for 2016 which excluded what people wanted? They wanted people, the ministers to be appointed outside the parliament. They did not hit that, and they went on to amend such kind of constitution. You are praising it. Do you think this one, what Hakan is doing, is the correct way of doing things?
Thank you very much. We're taking one final one, then well, we'll continue with the program. Let's take in another one, and then the SC can answer that. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, your name, please, quickly.
My name is Kasonde from within Lusaka.
Go ahead, Wakasonde.
Yes, please. Quick question. Good, Mr. Council, Mr. Sangwa, for the move that you are embarking on. I just had a quick question. I feel for me, you have probably come on the scene a little bit late, you know. Now that the movement, I think the launch was this year itself, and we have a general election next year. I do know that you have your reasons, but I feel that you have come on the scene a little bit late, and you might need a bit of some time to be on the political scene. But it's good that we have an opportunity for us, the voters, to have a wide spectrum of caliber of people like yourselves that are looking at, the development of the country and the many other challenges that the nation is facing. Notwithstanding, obviously, the issues of electricity, the issues of fuel, and many other economic issues. Thank you.
Thank you. State Council, please go ahead with those 5 issues.
Yeah. My plea always is that when we're having these discussions, it's important that we put aside our personal interest and look at these issues purely as Zambians. We put Zambia first, not our own personal preferences. Let me talk about the first issue. Do I talk to these people? Yes, I did. I can't remember the exact date. There was initially talk about the president wanting to amend the constitution. And I wrote, and then thereafter there was a press statement issued by the president's communications specialist saying that the president will respect the constitution. And I wrote back to the president commending him to say, it is a good thing that you have not done what your predecessors have done about the constitution, that you have resisted this attempt to fall prey to the same temptation. Okay? That is something that I pointed out to the president. I didn't have a chance to meet him, but the best next thing that I could do was to write him a letter to that effect. But to my disappointment, what we now have Bill 7. For me, that is betrayal. And not only that, I can confirm here that in fighting Bill 10, I worked very, very closely with the President and the UPND government in defeating Bill 10. Okay? Now, because we believe that it was wrong for President Lungu to amend the Constitution just before the election. What was not good for Lungu President Lungu should also not be good for this president. We cannot use double standards for that reason. And I've argued, what has changed? What has changed? I have not heard any convincing reason as to why we have to amend the Constitution now. People have been talking about delimitation and everything else, and I've explained that delimitation has nothing to do with increase in the number of parliamentary seats. Delimitation has everything to do with altering the boundaries of the existing 156 constituencies. It is very, very important. Yes, so to answer your question, yes, I've tried. I also had the opportunity to speak to the Minister of Justice, where I expressed my views to say there is no need to amend the Constitution, absolutely none whatsoever. The President knows that because we argued. Because can the President tell the country what is the difference between Bill 7 and Bill 10? If he fought against Bill 10, why is it now it's okay to introduce Bill 7? Okay? It is very important to be principled and be consistent as a leader. Okay, there is nothing in that Constitution that would prevent any government from delivering on its promises. That is my first answer to that. Yes, I've tried, and again, like I've said, I've met the president once, and the last attempt I tried to have a meeting with him to express my concerns about certain matters as a citizen. That meeting never materialized. Okay, so it's not like we just rush and start talking about these things publicly. We take every other measure, every other attempt to try and express our views to the government that is in power. I can't comment about Honorable Makebi Zulu. I mean, that is his own decision as to what you'd like to do as a person. We talked about this thing earlier on where we said, well, we live in a democracy. If somebody believes that he has a fair shot at the presidency, that is entirely up to that person's right. Nobody can be convinced. Now, somebody was attacking about the issue of the 100 kwacha. The reasoning is very simple. We haven't even reached that level. Or what we are saying is, when the time comes, we morph into a political party, we will not get funding from other people other than the Zambians. The reason for that, it is born out of experience. First of all, I'm a lawyer. I know what the law says. Okay? So the Constitution expects that political funding comes through legal means. Now, whether there is enabling legislation or not, I am still bound to uphold the Constitution. And that is why we are saying, if Zambians want to own their democracy, they must fund it. And there is a common saying where it's saying, well, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. Now, those people who are funding elections from outside or even internally, they do that because they look at it as an investment. Now, if Zambians want a proper direction, a proper democracy, they need to fund their election. And I can tell you, I can confirm this, that we have had an overwhelming support of people that are interested to give in their 100 kwachas. Some are even prepared to give in more. Others have said, I can give in 10,000. I can give. It is about, that's why we're calling it a renewal, a new way of looking at things. Yes, individually as Zambians, we may not have the financial muscle, but collectively, together, okay, we can make a difference and we can fund our own democracy. We cannot continue. Renewal is about trying something new. In any case, but I can confirm that the issue has been well received. The other issue raised is, I think it is very good for citizens to make an effort to read the Constitution. It is your obligation. We are not saying you have to become constitutional experts. It is your manual. It is your manual as to how the country is run. Every citizen must have a working knowledge of the Constitution so that you can hold those people that are in power accountable. Now, a lot of these things that have been said about 2016 amendment, they are actually false. Okay? What the caller does not know is that the final outcome of the 2026 amendment to the Constitution was the work of UPND and PF. Okay? Because remember, in 2016, PF did not have 2/3 majority. They didn't. Therefore, for that amendment to pass, it required the support of the UPND. So this was the most bipartisan piece of legislation that came out of the National Assembly, because it enjoyed the support of both the PF and the UPND. And that is why I'm saying, what has changed? Because if you had all these misgivings, why didn't you address them in the in 2016 when the bill was before the National Assembly? Now, in the original text of the bill, there was a provision to say ministers should be appointed from outside the National Assembly. Both UPND and PF rejected that. Okay? Yes, they are our representative and they have the right to do so, and they changed that. So whatever came about, so there is no discrimination in that particular piece of in the Constitution. In fact, the Constitution has gone to the greatest extent to make sure that there is equitable distribution of wealth, there is sensitivity in terms of appointments to public office. The Constitution, I think it should be Article 259, makes it very clear that when you are appointing people to public office, you must take into account regional balancing, you must take into account issues of gender, you must also take into account the issue of people with disability, so that everybody is taken care of. So what the Constitution has done is to provide a framework. It is for the government now to be able to see how it can implement this. And I can tell you, and I stand by my position, that this is possibly the best constitutional setup that we currently have. But I can never say that because the Constitution is drafted, it is the best. I'm not saying it's perfect. Okay? It has its own imperfections depending upon how you look at it. But in comparison to the other constitutions that we have, this is a far much better constitution. There is a last point that was raised by Mr. Kasonde. I've heard people say, excuse me, that we're coming on the scene late. I don't believe we are late. If Zambians want change, there is nothing that can stop them. Okay? If Zambians want to push this movement, nothing can stop them. Okay? We talk about 9 months or so. If we want to achieve what the movement stands for, nothing stops us from doing so. Now, if you say, well, this time is short in relation to what? So it is dependent upon how desperate, how serious Zambians want to transform the country. If we are that serious, then we can work day and night to realize what the movement stands for.
Right. We're running out of time. Can we take in 3-4 calls? And then we can call it a day. 226841. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Your name, please.
Chola on the line. Thank you so much.
Chola.
Good morning, Council.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
One of the things that the late Miles Monroe talked about was the dangers of uncontrolled change. In 1991, we had we changed the government. In my opinion, we had one of the best cabinets at a time. But what happened afterwards? Obviously, some things changed when you have someone there and who's running the affairs. Our constitution it literally empowers the president. So you have people leaving the government, and we saw what happened in '96, and then we are here today. What measures has council put in place to say if this movement takes over, what mitigation measures do you have that such does not happen again? And then that it's a movement that will have whatever we want to do will be followed, rather than this issue of having a strong man. We currently have a situation where we have one person who we believe will fix it. But, one person cannot do it. He's not, for instance, a doctor, is not a lawyer, is not an engineer. But as a movement, you put in such people that are bringing their expertise. So, in short, what measures do you have as a movement to safeguard the aspiration of the movement as you run the government? Thank you.
Great question. Two more, 226841. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Frank.
Name, please?
Joseph Muzumba from Vida.
Go ahead, Joseph, quickly.
I want to challenge the politicians and this organization. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
I want to choose the disabled people also, because we are remaining behind the disabled. Every day the disabled, they are talking, they are not hearing the disabled. So they have to choose the disabled so that they should talk on their own, the disabled. Don't talk with like they are waiting to talk with them. They should talk on their own. Thank you very much.
Thank you. One final question, sir or lady. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Frank?
I'm very well. Very quickly. We have run out of time, sir.
This is Upton Hatembo HH.
Kabutu.
I'm very happy that you have joined this race now. I've been following you with the veteran broadcaster, Frank Msuwira. So, that will call for peace. Since now you are a politician, the decision that you recently said, coming because of the way politicians are playing politics. They want to play divisive politics. So you call for unity among your supporters, because I believe now you have supporters and the other party supporters. Let them unite. Don't see each other as an enemy. We are one people, we are one country, and let's unite. And please, what are your policies on electricity if you happen to win? Thank you.
All right, those are the three last questions. Then I'll put in one final question at the end.
Yeah, the first point that was raised about avoiding a strong man and making sure that the movement is not hijacked by one person, I think that is the reason why we have taken the route of the movement. Right now, it is non-partisan, and what has happened is that there is a recognition that we have expertise. There are Zambians that have expertise. We have enough ideas and brains to transform this country. And that is why we have said, let the movement, it is right now non-partisan. Please come in. And we may have initiated this particular idea, but the platform is open. And that is why, for me, I was delighted when my sister Dolika Banda came in, because she has certain skill sets which I don't have. Okay, and I have certain skill sets which she doesn't have.
So you complement.
We complement each other. And we have brought in this other, my young brother Silavwe. He also has certain skills that we don't have. So that is what we're talking about. Nobody knows everything. And that is why there is always this, and we are working as a movement, right? First of all, there is no president. Okay?
Yeah.
We haven't, people start fighting for position before they have done any work.
Yeah.
Now, these are issues we will resolve later on. Now, people have even said, oh, he's going to be presidential candidate. And I've said, I need not be, right?
Yeah.
because these are decisions you make when the nomination time comes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day is to do what is in the best interest of the country. I'll tell you one thing. I'll disclose this. I did not meet, I've never known about my sister Dolika Banda.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, until now,
Yeah.
I'd never known of her, I've never met her. But people said, you know what, I think you guys can work together. Right? Somebody spoke to us, somebody spoke to me, and thereafter we had a meeting and we clicked. But there's one thing that we are united on: love of country. And we have agreed that whatever happens, whatever differences we have, we shall put the country first. That is the premise on which we are working on. Even when my brother Silav was coming, whatever differences that we experience, we shall put the country first. Okay? Now, so that is why people start fighting. Oh, I want to be president. I want to be this. Do the job first.
Yeah.
Okay? And the people will finally decide what the winning ticket will be. This is too far ahead. I mean, August is a long way.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Okay? So that is why it is imperative to be focused. Right now, both my sister Dolika Banda, myself, and my brother Silavwe, and a few others, we have one common agenda: to raise that 1 million people. Okay, so we have put the necessary. That is our primary objective. And you see, you can't do you have to sequence things. So once we have that, then we sit down. So, okay, guys, now that we have this 1 million, what is this 1 million saying in terms of leadership structure and everything else? That will be decided. So now, whatever we've done is born out of experience. Okay, because people start sharing positions, they start fighting. They don't even have a single member. They're already fighting as who is going to be president. And those experiments have actually failed. Now, we are looking at it differently, and we are saying to Zambians, don't complain about load shedding, don't complain about whatever it is, join the movement. Okay, you can complain all you want. After complaining, what next? Complaint won't resolve our challenges. We have provided a vehicle. Join us. Not that we have all the answers to these problems, but join the movement. Let's put our heads together. That is the only way we can transform the country. No one person can do that.
Right.
Then
dealt with that.
The issue of the disabled, I think the question wasn't very clear. Again, we are looking at the disabled, people that are disabled. They also have a right. In fact, the Constitution recognizes that. Okay? And we have not discriminated in the movement. Everybody is at liberty to come. Right now, we are non-partisan. And what we are saying, you can join us. If you want to have your details, you want to go in as a volunteer or a supporter, you indicate. Others have simply chosen to be anonymous. That, again, is their prerogative. But what we are saying is, we need to join hands. There is no point in, for example, insulting people in the current leadership, or there is no point in attacking them and everything else. There is nothing. We have to give them the respect. Give the respect to the president. We have to talk about issues. We have to look at the fact that the country is bigger than all of us. We have to put the country first. Yes, you complain. Yes, we can complain. But after complaining, what next? After complaining, join the movement so that we put our heads together and transform this country.
My final question, my final question is, and then you can combine it with the final words. You're going to get all these people on board. They must feel the sense of belonging. How are you going to ensure, that they're part of this, movement today and tomorrow? What happens in politics is that leaders are voted in, and those who voted, for them, their voice is stifled. They become orphans.
Very simple. I mean, I had somebody in the diaspora. I think I've shared this before. Somebody in the diaspora asked me to say, Mr. Sangwa, you're speaking very well. And what guarantee is there that you won't change. And I simply said, you know what? You have to look at my life, what I've stood for over the last 35 years. If my life cannot answer that, my life cannot give you that confidence or provide an answer to that, then there are no words I can give you. And it is important to focus on the character of the people that we elect as our leaders, because that is critical. That is what would give us the confidence. And again, what we are trying to do, it is, first of all, we have this 10-point plan. Okay, 10-point plan. Now, when I met my sister Dolika, what she said, I agree with everything you have said in the 10-point plan. She didn't say, no, change this. No. She bought into that. So we are united on that particular issue. And one of the issues that we're talking about under the 10-point plan is national unity. We have all bought into that. There is my brother Silavwe. We are all united around that 10-point plan. But again, we cannot predict what is going to happen. There will be challenges, but we'll find a way to resolve those challenges. But the guiding principle is that the country comes first.
Yeah.
That is the guiding principle.
As we close, and I know you as a Christian, have you already graduated from Rema, by the way?
No. Hopefully, God willing, I'll do so on the 8th of November.
Excellent.
That's when I graduate.
All right. And prior to that, I know you'll be speaking to Jesus when you graduate. When we leave,
always do.
When we leave this studio and you meet Jesus outside, what governance issue would you raise, with him, and would he be happy about what's going on here in this country?
No, I think his answer will be, I've blessed you with everything that is required. So the rest is up to you. I think that's what the Lord will say.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. My message, to the people out there. First, I have to thank Clyde and Emma, my team in this studio. Excellent guys. You better have a wonderful, weekend. Don't drink too much. Me, I gave up on the booze. Yeah. My message to the rest of you is, do your very best, and God will do the rest. It's football tomorrow. Commiserations to Liverpool. This song is dedicated to you from me and my Man United fans. It's called Monekela Kubana Waweba Liverpool. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back, at the end of November. God bless you. Good morning.